We'll now dive into our first panel discussion. Let's engage in meaningful dialogues about shaping the future of education. The topic of discussion is the role of educators in supporting student mental health. Kindly note that the panel discussion floor will be open for the Q&A session later. With that, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all to our panelists for the day. Starting off with Ms. Anupama Ramachandra, founder and principal, Delhi Public School. Ms. Anupama Ramachandra, an esteemed educational administrator with over 30 years of experience across India, holds postgraduate degrees in English literature and education. A recipient of the Nehru Fulbright Award, she has international teaching and research experience in the United States of America. Certified as a CBSE teacher trainer, Anupama has held notable roles including former secretary of the Bangalore Sahodaya Schools Complex Association and past president of the Rotary E-Club of Bangalore. She has earned numerous accolades including the Chanakya Award 2019 and the Educator of the Year 2022. Currently, she is the founder and principal of DPS Electronic City, Bangalore, and continues to contribute to education through her writing and speaking engagements. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Ms. Anupama Ramachandra. Our next panelist for the day, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Our next panelist for the day is Ms. Shanti Priya, Principal, Vista International School. Currently serving as principal at Vista School, Mary Shanti Priya is a seasoned professional with extensive experience in teaching, academic coordination and administration. Known for effective communication and classroom management, Mary Shanti Priya excels in mentoring and motivating staff and designing innovative curriculums. Recognized for significant contributions, including writing CBSE math textbooks and being featured as one of the 10 most influential women in education by CEO Insight magazine, Mary Shanti Priya has also received the Best Global Principal Award for 2020 and 21 and the Exemplary COVID-19 Pandemic Edu Leader Award. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Ms. Mary Shanti Priya. Our next, a very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Our next panelist for the day is Ms. Maya Sukumaran. Dr. Maya Sukumaran is a distinguished educator and thought leader with over 37 years of extensive experience in teaching and academic leadership across renowned institutions. As a passionate advocate for holistic student development and technology integration in education, Dr. Maya Sukumaran has consistently demonstrated a commitment to academic excellence, innovation, and leadership in the educational sector. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Our next panelist for the day is Ms. Lydia Christina, Principal of Canry the School. Ms. Lydia Christina, the dynamic principal of Canry the School in Hyderabad. With 24 years in education, Ms. Christina began her journey as a teacher with missionaries driven by a passion for inspiring young minds. Her career evolved as she took on roles as an IB coordinator and teacher trainer at renowned international institutes like DRS International, Indus International, and Nord Angelia Education. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Our next panelist for the day is Mrs. Srabanti Basu, Principal, Johnson's Grammar School. Mrs. Srabanti Basu, Principal of Johnson Grammar School, ICSE and ISC, Malapur, Hyderabad, brings nearly 30 years of diverse experience in ICSE, CBSE and international education. With advanced degrees in chemistry, environmental science and child psychology, she excels in leading a large team and enhancing educational practices. Mrs. Basu is also active with the Shaswat Foundation, supporting various school social causes. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Mrs. Srabanti Basu. Our final panelist for this discussion is Dr. Sumali B. Swami, Principal, Silicon City Academy of Secondary Education. Dr. Sumalini B. Swami is leading figure in education as the director and principal of Silicon City Academy in Bangalore. With over a decade at the helm, she has been instrumental in shaping the school into a beacon of academic and holistic excellence. Holding multiple master's degrees and boasting international experience, Dr. Swami is celebrated for her dynamic, empathetic leadership and has been honored with the Education Stalwarts 2024 award by Education Today. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome on stage Dr. Sumalini B. Swami. Let's hear it for all the panelists before we move on to the discussion. And now over to the chairperson for this panel discussion, Ms. Anupama Ramachandra. Can we have the mics turned on for all the panelists, please?
Check, check. Yeah, it's working. To all of you at Hyderabad, it's indeed a pleasure to be here. And also, I think we are privileged to be part of the first panel of the day to kickstart the Hyderabad Summit. Thank you once again, Education Network, ENN, and Education Today for having us here. We are all here to discuss a very vital topic which affects all of us, student mental health. And today we will be discussing the role of educators in supporting student mental health. And we do have a very distinguished panel of practicing teachers, like Sir said. I wanted to say educators, but I correct myself now and proudly say teachers. They're all practitioners. All of us clearly understand that student mental health is intricately connected to their academic performance, social relationships, emotional well-being, and at large, their entire well-being. In the recent times, we have seen a lot of pressure, overwhelming pressure on students with academic performance, even the way they connect with people. So we also notice that there is a decline in the way students feel. So today we will be deliberating on these very issues. A warm welcome to a very, very erudite panel that we are having today. My first question is directed to Ms. Maya. Ms. Maya, we all know that all stakeholders should take responsibility to take care of student mental health. Yet, there is a lot of focus and pressure on schools and educators to take care of this. Can you please elaborate what is the critical role educators play in this regard?
A very good morning to all present here, and I would like to thank Mr. Anil and Ms. Vibha for inviting me here, and thank you, Ms. Anupama, for throwing this question to me. And I'm sure this is something that's going on in everybody's mind. This is an area of great concern, and now in this digital life, I feel educators like us, all of us, definitely plays a very, very pivotal role in molding the child's mental situation. And this, I feel, is, it can be actually handled in, I would say, if we follow a few powerful strategies. So the first thing, I think the strategy should be, creating an environment of openness in the schools. So when we have this openness, that, it should not, see, this stigma of having mental issue is there in the society. And it plays a big, especially the peers, they have a lot of inhibition talking to even students who are actually suffering from within, but they don't express this. So for this, I think there should be open discussions in the school wherein we give them a, we uh, give them a way where they can express all their struggles. And actually, we can start uh, having help extended to them at the very beginning. So I feel that an openness in that atmosphere of the school is very important. We have healthy discussions and maybe awareness campaigns that can be conducted. Then the next powerful tool, I would say, is having leadership in students. In fact, all the schools have counselors, but let's have a set of students who take up this leadership role in actually having peer counseling sessions, guided by the teachers of the school. Then I think as educators, we need to be very alert. We need to keep observing, and observing is very, very important, whether the child is undergoing any kind of stress. And nowadays, every child talks about anxiety, overwhelming. I'm very overwhelmed with the pressure that we have. But there has to be a one-to-one. I think we all speak of personalized learning. Let us speak of personalized, help extended to the children, and so that they take off this inhibition, that stigma, that fear of judgmental, we being judgmental. They don't like that fact. So I think a lot of frankness in the children, and let's have we should have, I think, this mental health education there integrated in the curriculum in the form of discussions, in the form of activities, or also projects, So this way, what happens when there is an openness, an open talk, that inhibition in a child will get off, and they will feel more relaxed, they will feel more free, that they can express their problems that they are facing. And every child, believe me, every child faces problems. I have been interacting for more than three hours sometimes with children, just to talk to them and bring in a healthy connect. So whether you are the principal, you're the teacher, that connect has to be there with all children. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Ms. Maya, for pointing out that teachers can be the first point of contact to students who do face challenges with mental health. Thank you. My next question is directed to Ms. Shrabanti. How do you perceive, or what do you think is the status of mental health, addressing mental health in your school? And can you briefly tell us what are the challenges you face?
First of all, a very good morning to all of you. Good morning, Ms. Anupama and all the panelists. And thanks to Education News Network for this wonderful opportunity where we can discuss this very important point. I think that's the need of the hour. Yes, a very pertinent question. I would say mental health is a very important part of human being, and more so when we talk about young people. Now, mental health, if we try to recognize mental health, I would say it is as important, or I would say more important than physical health. And there are quite a few factors or points that come to my mind. I think not only our institution, but all other educational institutions will or must have faced this challenge. I would like to highlight a few of them here. I would start with COVID-19. The pandemic stress created among all of us, the lack of social interaction among students, totally, I would say, remote learning, causing stress anxiety. Children have been exposed to family struggles, financial insecurity, subjected to lot of mental stress. Children have seen loss of lives. What more can we say? So this has created a rippling effect among all of us. And this is something which will keep on happening, and this effect will be with us for many, many years. Moving to the next point is the peer pressure. Peer pressure for social acceptance. Do I fit in? Now, there may be some struggles in the family. Socioeconomic struggles are there. As a result, the parents are not being able to meet up to the expectations of the children. So what happens? There is lack of acceptance in the peer group. Gradually, the child feels excluded. The child loses the friendship, gets into depression, gets lost, there's loss of focus, I feel, and there is a high disconnect among the peer group. Also, if I look at the academic stress, the school expectations, the parent expectations, I would say here, I would say rather, this expectation of parents, is it always very realistic? I don't think so. So I would say unrealistic expectations of parents. I would say societal pressure, tremendous pressure on the child. My child has to be an IITian. Otherwise, there is nothing more that my child can do. There is aspirational pressure with the child too. Who has to execute? It is only the student. But look at the tremendous amount of pressure that builds up with the child. Will the child be able to do so much and keep up to the expectations of all? What happens in the process? The child loses academic interest. There is a downfall in academics. This is the challenge that we face during the modern times. As a result, we see absenteeism in schools. As a result, the attendance falls. We keep saying that in the senior school, we have a minimum 75% attendance as demanded by the council. Where do we get that? Also, I must say that as teachers, I'm a passionate teacher myself. I would like to call myself as a teacher rather than an educator. As a teacher, it is very important to understand the triggers, the warning signs in the classrooms. For that, we must create awareness among the teachers to understand these triggers, warning signs. I would say rather that teachers are barefoot counselors. If we understand the trigger in a child, let the teacher hand over the child to the counselor who will be professionally dealing with such a case. Let teachers not deal with such situations. Now, to go to the counselor, we require parent consent, right? So, there is a social stigma, as already mentioned by the panel member. The social stigma regarding counseling leads to parent denial. If a child suffers from jaundice, if a child suffers from typhoid malaria, the child will seek medical assistance. But a child, due to the social stigma, can the child not seek counseling assistance? The day we find or we create a platform where both the mental health and physical health come and become one and the same, I would say we have achieved equity. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think you beautifully expressed how the harsh realities of life are affecting our children and especially their mental health.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
ma'am.
so much. Miss Lydia, I'm sure, continuing, we are only discussing the problems, but I think the audience would like to know some solutions also. So in your school, do you have any particular policies or programs to address student mental health? And how far do you think these are really effective?
Sure, thank you. First of all, to the shapers and the molders of future. Educators, again I say the teachers and the leaders who are here who are creating an impact for generations to come. A namaskar to all of you, and it is my humble good morning. So first of all, I would like to thank Education Today for providing me a platform to share what we are doing and of course learn from what everyone is doing here. Coming to mental health, I think we started off with that, which is the core, which is the heart of a discussion, and of course it's the heart of education itself. And if we think of mental health, why? Why do we need to do that, and what type of programs we need to have is very important, because if a person has the right mental health, you can be able to develop your own potential, learn well, and be what you are. So they normally say, a child learns to live what he's experiencing. So there are different types of programs, and according to the NEP also, I think it starts with the school aligning the vision and mission, where its culture, where its values, norms are all aligned in developing mental health, because it is the core. It is like the heartbeat. Because if I'll just give you an example. If a child comes to school and he's not interested in learning, would learning happen? And the programs that we have to develop is just not for students itself. It's again the community, which consists of leaders, teachers, parents, and students. And we were successful in trying out certain processes and policies as well, which I'll be sharing with you. Let's come to students. What are the programs that we can actually offer to our students is, first start with assemblies, where you give them a minute of silence, minute of mindfulness activities, where they have student agency. They need to be felt comfortable. They need to have that it is they who have taken ownership of their learning. Second thing, you can definitely have interactions in the class which give them voice to voice out how they're feeling. A teacher can just start off with saying, how was your day? Not getting directly into the teaching process. So you can identify when the children come around, you will have some students are very good, happy, but you can find some children are sad. Touch upon that. Listen. Teachers need to develop the ability to listen, talk, and interact. Nothing can change more than a teacher who is connected. And so once that connection happens, learning automatically falls. How many of you here remember your best teachers? Can I have why do we have that? We have it because there's a connect which is developed through passion, and that passion drives, a teacher to connect with them, to reflect and bring out the best in the child. Second thing is we can have mentor-mentee programs. Like, you can have buddy programs, you can have teacher-mentee programs, so that they're comfortably adjusting to the new changes. The other thing what you can do is also have activities which like kindness, to imbibe the qualities, develop values, make them to understand how it feels like being happy. Because a happy child creates a happy environment, and a happy environment is all about a happy school. Now, for that reason, we need to understand, are teachers having the right programs, how to implement those programs? So, professional development. Teachers have to go through understanding student needs, how to identify students, how to sort out those issues, how to reach out to a counselor. So these basic things have to be taught, because in today's world, every teacher is a counselor. I would call them managers. They are managers of academics, managers of learning, managers of parent connect, managers of student connect. But how does that happen? Where the leaders of the school need to understand the need to invest in proper teachers training, where they identify how students should be in class, why these, what are the reasons are actually impacting students' mental health, so that they find out ways to connect and also bring in changes. Most important thing, we do everything as a school, but parents do not know. So parent workshops should be held where you have, again, age appropriate. You cannot have a LKG or a UKG child having something which is being dealt with teenagers. So tailor-made parent workshops will help. Tell them that how COVID, definitely I think my colleague just told that COVID had an impact. Yes, it did have an impact. Loss of a family has it. Financial loss, there's a lot of trauma, and that is impacting the learning process. Now, if you come to policies, we need to have policies like whether your school has a SEN or a counselor, safety, security policy. Then you would have to have even a language policy for that matter. POSH and POXO can be a part of it. Safeguarding can be a part of it. And also, ensuring that you have an agreement, essential agreements I could say, because we have it. So many hours of training for children, so many hours of training for parents, and so many hours for teachers. So that should be a part and parcel of, the process, in the school curriculum itself. And NEP talks about having a holistic approach where all subjects are integrated, inquiry-based learning is happening. So children are given the chances to choose and reflect the way they would like to. It's no more the chalk and talk, but also giving them opportunities where their strengths lie. And when they have that confidence, when they feel comfortable, when they are connected to the class and get that openness to speak up and enjoy that learning process, I'm sure every environment will change, and every teacher, just they have to do connect in true sense with your heart, soul, and mind. That's it. And the magic works.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Lydia. I think the magical word that you used is connect. Wonderful, and thank you for highlighting the effectiveness of the policies that you have in your school. Since you have also emphasized on what teachers can do and should do, my next question is to Dr. Sumalini. And since we are also discussing the role of educators in supporting student mental health, in your school, how do you enable, equip, empower your teachers to handle student mental health concerns?
A very happy morning to all the panelists and the galaxy of intellectuals who are present today. It gives me immense pleasure to talk on this important topic today. Teachers are pillars of any organization. If we impart quality training, they become health ambassadors. So we can make it effective in the school premises if we integrate mental health awareness training programs. When you include modules which are pertaining to health, teachers become aware and they will be able to identify the early signs of depression or anxiety. Next, we need to provide training to the teachers in SEL, social emotional learning, which emphasizes on emotional intelligence. This helps teachers to create a supportive learning environment in the school premises. We need to train teachers on building a strong student-teacher communication channels where they can feel free to connect talk about their personal challenges, they can speak, they can, if they have any concerns, they can reach out to. Apart from that, we can have training modules in collaboration with the medical health experts where teachers can get specialized training on how to handle, and they can be guided pertaining to dealing with the issues which are serious mental issues which otherwise teachers might not be equipped with. We need to empower teachers with the tools like meditation, mindfulness, yoga, so that these can also be an integral part of their daily routine. Not just on International Yoga Day, we do yoga. It should become a part and parcel of our curriculum as well. Along with that, we need to create a very safe and inclusive learning environment where the teachers can be trained on teaching inclusive methods which can cater to the diverse emotional needs of the students as well. So we need to look at the holistic approach. Only then teachers can foster a conducive atmosphere which is for learning. Thank you so much. I think, if we follow these, and teachers can definitely, make a lot of difference in students' life on daily basis, not just, in one particular day or so. It should become a part and parcel of our curriculum. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My next question to Ms. Shanti Priya. We are discussing student mental health. How do we even come to know that students have mental health concerns? Are there signs, symptoms, or they come out and say, ma'am, today I have a mental health issue. They're so ready to say, ma'am, I have a cold. I don't want to play today because my body hurts. But do students come and say that they have mental health issues? So since we are talking about how teachers can help students, how do you train your teachers to identify these signs and symptoms, and when is the red flag raised? So can you please highlight on that?
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone present over here. Good morning, I said. Morning. Thank you so much. The question is very relevant, I would say, to all of us. How do we identify? We talk so much about mental health. It's so difficult to find out. I'm sitting over here, don't know whether my mental health is in state or I'm going through some kind of stress. So it's really very difficult to identify a mental stress of a child. But again, having said that, the withdrawal symptoms, maybe if the child is not able to express, child has always been very chirpy, very lively, all of a sudden you find the child sulking inside. You've seen the scores very well in the report card or in the academics, but suddenly you find them dipping down. A child who's always been very quiet, or a child who's always been very loud, suddenly the child has become very aggressive. Suddenly the child has become very sensitive. These are all small signs, I think, which a teacher can identify and get to know that the child is going through something which is called as a mental stress. But before addressing that, I'm deviating from what ma'am has asked me. Are we really concerned about our teachers' mental health? Really, ma'am? Teaching mental health, I'm not talking in context to teaching mental health, ma'am. That's very different. I'm talking in context to handling stress for a teacher herself. I always say that your class will be happy if the teacher is happy. How many of us actually keep that as a focus point to ensure that the teachers are happy? I'm not asking anyone to answer this. This is a question for you to do an introspection. It's always to yourself. So it's very important for a teacher to be happy within so that she can identify whether her children are happy or not. It's all, as ma'am said, we have to build in the connections. How do they learn to build in the connections? So I would always say that lead by example is something that's very, very important. We need to build in connections with our team to ensure that they understand how to build the connections with the students. It's very easy to say that build connections, but it's very difficult because, as sir said, all of us are teachers, were teachers. From teachers is where I've become a principal. So it's very important for me to understand that teacher, as a manager, one of my panelists said, has multiple things to look into. To identify and to focus the mental health of a child becomes very difficult at times. So it is always necessary that we sensitize this not just for the students but also for the teachers too, because it is the teachers who have to identify, reciprocate, connect, help. They are the first POCs, point of contact for a child. But most of the scenarios it doesn't happen because we're all running into a mundane race. All of us have to finish our curriculum, we have our portions to done, and assessments to done. We have not learned to pause. I'm sure as a kid, you and I also went through mental stress. It's only that we were not aware that we can use these words. Even we were very anxious. It's only that we never know that there's a word called anxious, stress. I'm under depression. Sometimes we also need to talk about these words when and where they should be used, exactly in what context too, which is very important. As Sir rightly said, AI is a beautiful tool. These words are beautiful words. But in what context is something which is very, very important. We have to learn or train our children to become more resilient, which we are not, in fact. We are sensitizing them more than required. It's important. I don't deny the fact. But it is equally important that they become more stronger and resilient, because that's the need of the hour. It's very important. Maybe at a school level, we can sensitize, we are very protected, we still teach them as kids. But are we preparing them only for school or for life at large? So it's very important. I mean, I love this topic, hence I wanted to be part of the panelists. Otherwise, I find this as a hot chair sitting over here when so many people are staring at you. And everyone knows what's happening in the ground reality. I'm no one to give a gyan over here. Because I'm sure each one of you, with your immense experience, you have your immense, hands-on, which you know pretty well. And again, to the blunt reality, let's all become cautious and conscious also. That these words of mental well-being is good, but not to overdo them. Do them rightly where it is needful. Understand how to identify. As I said again, identifying is only by building in connection. Like my fellow panelists said, build connections. It's very important to build connections. So unless we don't build in connections, we cannot bring in the change what we are looking forward for. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope I've not hurt anyone's sentiments. I didn't mean for that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Priya, for, again, emphasizing on connections. And how important it is for us to have open communications so that mental health concerns can be resolved to the best way possible. She says it's time up, but I think there's one question we should take up. And Ms. Shrabati, if you can be really brief, can you just highlight how you engage parents? Because many educators and teachers sitting here would say mental health concerns stems from homes. So how do you bring parents into the loop, and do you offer them any resources? Very briefly, because she says it's time up.
You give me a minute
Yes.
to speak?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. See, I would say the first thing that whatever I've heard from the fellow panelists, I would say the trouble with mental health, whether to understand whether it is manifested or not. Now, parents being one of the very important stakeholders, the school needs to work very closely with the parents for the best interest of the students. Now, I've heard about open communication. That's very, very important. For that, the school needs to create awareness among parents and insist that parents must spend quality time with the children on a regular basis so that children coming back home should be able to share their emotional needs with parents. At our school, we conduct webinars. We conduct sessions for parents. We have sessions by experts. One is externals. We invite externals to have sessions with parents. The other is our parents taking sessions with other parents. Another part that we do is we conduct activities. I'm talking about the primary school. We conduct parent engagement programs where parents and students participate in the same activity. The other part that we also do, our counselors periodically, I would say monthly, they write articles in the newsletters so that the parents are sensitized. We also send weekly alerts to the parents. We have HSCP, Health, Safety and Child Protection, in place in our school. Along with HSCP alerts, we also send mental well-being alerts for parents and students. It is very important need of the hour to sensitize parents and sensitize teachers.
Thank you, Shravanti ma'am, for letting us know how you bring parents also into the circle. And we cannot leave without addressing the elephant in the room, social media. So a quick reply from Ms. Shanti. How do you create digital literacy and responsibility in your students so that mental health issues are addressed by responsible adults and not the social media?
So we constantly talk to the children about the usage, as all technology is a very good tool if it is rightly used. So constant counseling sessions are conducted, addressing in the assembly is done to the children. We also involve the parents too, because now you're 13, you're eligible legally to have a social platform for yourself. So you need not become a major to have a social platform. Legally you are eligible. So talking to them, because though they are legally eligible, they don't know how to use it correctly, and they get strongly influenced by the social platforms. So we keep on talking to them constantly about them, at times in the form of warnings also, that they're not supposed to be. As a school policy, we strongly recommend the parents that they should not be having any of these platforms. As someone said, COVID has brought in all the change. COVID was online. COVID was more digital, and that is when they got addicted to the kind of social platforms what we are talking about. So if we can avoid it, reduce it by either talking or by discussing or talking about the consequences, which can be very dire in case they are not used properly, is the ideal way we can.
Thank you. I think the solution is not in telling them to stay away from it, but teach them how to use it responsibly. Dr. Sumalini, can I have one, answer in one word or a phrase? What is the key takeaway you would like the audience to remember from this discussion?
We need to have social emotional learning, emotional quotient as a part of curriculum.
Thank you so much. I think that's such a powerful word. Miss Lydia, one word or one phrase.
Yeah.
What is one action that you would recommend educators take to prioritize student mental health?
Yeah, I think first, as I said, you have to go and connect. And I'll just take a quarter minute right now to say, go back to your classes, tell your teachers to observe. You will find children who are not giving eye contact, someone who's not talking, or you'll have someone who is actually overactive in the classroom. Identify those students, and you will have to make a note of that. Work with the SEN or the counselor to find measures. Because once you take time to observe and understand your children, only then I think you will come up with, practical working systems to put the strategies into place and bring a difference in them and ensure mental health is taken care of.
Thank you so much. I think you have put the icing on the cake, that steps have to be small and relatable and actionable also. So thank you, wonderful panelists, for this great discussion that we had on how educators can support student mental health.
Excuse me, ma'am, I just have a question for
1 minute,
all the
ma'am.
panelists. Anybody can take it. We are speaking about mental health and wellness for the students in the school. It may be affecting the student, be it the parent, be it the teacher, be it the community, be it the society. Anything may influence a child. But the challenge is when the student is coming to the school and how the mentors are going to connect to them and what is the way that we are going to adopt the systems, because various ways the government is enforcing the school authorities to inculcate all these things to bring the wellness in student. So are we ready to teach the challenges where a student is facing and how he need to adopt and how he needs to sustain these challenges and grow up as a successful child?
So your question is, how do we
Yes.
support students?
Yes.
Okay, I think
Yeah,
Ms.
In-
Maya can take
in
up
all
that.
these areas,
So-
because the child may be affected from various
Right, we
angles.
got it, ma'am.
But you
Ms.
have
Maya, if
a
you
time,
can take the
but do you
question.
have that much of time to give that education for
No,
a child in this
this,
school?
For this, I think we need to connect with the students in the children's point of view. Say, they should enjoy what we're doing, our regular talks and, whatever we do physically. Nowadays, children, their attention span is very short, so they don't even listen to half the things that we speak. So if
We
everybody,
speak about,
yeah,
said,
if
about
everybody
the
talks
COVID you were
about,
telling,
yeah,
like it
Ma'am,
has
please,
changed.
ma'am,
We have put in
excuse me, ma'am.
positive and negative also.
Ma'am,
if
can you
every-
please let her
no,
answer?
what I'm
Thank
trying
you.
to say is when AI tools are used for everything, why can't we use that for even our mental check, the wellness check? So actually we can use machine learning applications are there wherein they can study the performance of the student, the behavior pattern and the attendance. When they study, we come to know what is the status. So using technology, I think definitely will benefit us. Then there is also teletherapy services that's available. See, children sometimes don't like to talk personal things on face with the counselors. So let the school adopt this so that 24/7, and they're all licensed counselors who are there in that teletherapy services, wherein you can have virtual sessions with the children. Then gamification is also there, wherein we can bring in, with gamification, we can actually make them control their anxiety. They won't even realize, they think they're playing a game, but how to control emotions and strengthen, ultimately what is our aim? Our aim is that they all become individuals who are mentally very strong, and that reflects on their physical health too. So I think we need to use the AI tools to strengthen their mental status. And they won't even realize, and they'll be very happy that we are talking to them in their language. And that is really very important.
Yeah, I think Maya ma'am has wonderfully conveyed that the way forward is not how hard we work, but how smartly we work with all the resources available, especially AI and technology. Yeah, so I think with that, we can wrap up now, because we have covered how we can recognize early signs and symptoms of student mental health concerns, how to create a supporting environment where educators can be the people who promote a nurturing environment, how to build resilience and coping mechanisms, and how to collaborate with parents, surrounding community and all the stakeholders to ensure that the students' mental health is always taken care of. Thank you all for this wonderful discussion, and thank you, audience, for your patient listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all the panelists. It was indeed a very insightful discussion. I would now request Mr. Behzad Shroff, Director of Adventure Education Tours, to kindly join us on stage, and accompanying him is Dr. Kanan Girish, founder of Live Life Education, to please join us on stage to felicitate our panelists. The panel discussion, Ms. Anupama Ramachandran. Moving ahead with Ms. Mary Shanti Priya. Next up, Ms. Maya Sukumaran. Let's hear it from Ms. Maya Sukumaran, ladies and gentlemen. followed by Miss Lydia Christina. Next up, is Mrs. Sravanti Basu. And last but not the least, Dr. Sumalini. Let's have a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for all the panelists. Requesting Dr. Kanan Girish and Mr. Bezat to please remain on stage